Hello students, welcome to another episode of Mr. Lim Explains. So for today, we are actually going to go through Convent of the Holy Infant Jesus Secondary mid-year paper, the 4NT paper. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this is a CHIJ paper. So for question 1A, okay, they ask you to state the amplitude of the wave. Okay, so there isn't much information that is given, so this one is a bit tricky. You have to take note that down here they are telling you that the highest point to the lowest point is 3 meters. Okay, but we know that whenever you talk about amplitude, okay, we will always divide the wave into half, top and bottom. Okay, so we divide equally into half. The top is amplitude, the bottom here is also amplitude. So with that understanding, it just means that this 3 meters is actually 2 amplitudes. Okay, so that's why we take 3 meters, divide by 2, and I'll get 1.5 meters. Okay, next, when we ask to calculate the frequency is the number of waves passing through a point in 1 second. Okay, so basically I have, in this case, 5 peaks passes through point X in 2 seconds. So that means 5 must divide by 2 and I'll get 2.5 Hertz. Okay, so question 1B below, part 1. Okay, so down here is actually talking about the uses of the respective waves. Okay, so it's actually quite straightforward. Part 1, for remote controls, we'll use infrared wave. Part 2, for to produce images of internal organs and bones, we'll use X-ray. Part 3, we talk about these causing water and fat particles in food to vibrate, creating friction which heats up the food in a short time. So this one is not very straightforward, but if you think about how the microwave actually works, it is actually based on this principle. Okay, I shall not elaborate too much about that detail. Okay, but basically it's actually microwave as the answer. Okay, part 4, when we are using our EZ-Link card, okay, we are actually getting the radio wave to detect the signal on our card, and therefore doing those calculation after that. Okay, so it's actually radio wave here. Okay, next question. Question 2. Now question 2, the question is asking why what are the reasons for the farmer to use those improved food production methods. Okay, what are the 2 reasons? So initially I gave lack of space to grow crops, okay, and this growing world population. Okay, but this portion, a growing world population which needs more food, this one is actually not correct, because it's actually mentioned in the question here. Okay, because of an increase in world population. So because of this answer is no longer relevant. Okay, you have to be very careful with what you are doing, right? So I wasn't careful, and therefore I wrote it down. Okay, so the other answer should be harsher weather conditions, okay, which makes it harder for the crops to grow. Okay, part B, what should farmer do to grow high yield crops? Okay, you want high yield crops means crops that can produce a lot of fruits or whatever, so that you get more harvest. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean more, you just need better quality seeds or good quality seeds, okay, to start off the job. Okay, next one, why is it necessary to remove weeds? Okay, so you must understand that weeds are there as competition for your crops. So they basically take away the nutrients from the crops and they compete. You can also say that the weeds compete with crops for nutrients. Okay, so either of these 2 will be the answer because it's the same information. Okay, part 2, why does this herbicide, okay, what is the harmful effect of this use of herbicide? Okay, so there are few, of course. So one of the better ones would be to because it will actually seep into the ground and it contaminates the groundwater. Okay, another one would be the herbicide actually contaminates the crop, so when you harvest it, you wash it before you can actually consume, right? Okay, so let's move on. Question 3. Okay, this one is not very straightforward for those who are unfamiliar with the chemical names. Okay, but if you look at the question, sulfuric acid actually refers to acid. Okay, sodium hydroxide. Okay, for sodium hydroxide, if you remember what the teachers told you in class, okay, sodium hydroxide is actually one of the alkalis. Okay, so acid plus alkali will give you a salt and water. Okay, this is actually a neutralization. Okay, this is actually a neutralization. Okay, next one, hydrochloric acid plus sodium bicarbonate. Okay, basically your baking powder. Okay, the bicarbonate here, the carbonate actually gives you a clue that it's actually a carbonate. Okay, so when you have acid plus carbonate reaction, you have salt, carbon dioxide, and water. Okay. Question 4. Judging from the graph, okay, you should be able to tell very quickly that how long did actually bus 8 take to reach the first bus stop. Okay, so if you look at this information, the bus travels quickly and then after that it stops here at this 40 meters away. Okay, so this tells us that actually bus 8 actually reaches the bus stop at 60 seconds. Okay, calculate the average speed. Average speed is total distance divided by total time. So the bus took 40 minutes, the bus traveled 40 meters, okay, and it took 120 seconds to reach there. So 40 divided by 120, you get 0.333 meters per second as the answer. Round off to 3SF. Okay. Question 5. Okay, question 5, this is a transformer. Okay, like what we have mentioned countless times before. Okay, the transformer, actually the core of the transformer is made of iron. Okay, so part B. Is this a step up or step down transformer? Give a reason for your answer. Basically this is a step up transformer. Why? Because we notice that the number of coils here, or the number of turns, okay, let's use the word turns as well. Okay, the number of turns or number of coils in the secondary coil is more than that of the primary coil, and because of that is actually the this step up transformer. Okay. Okay, question 6. What is power? This is a definition. So power is actually the amount of energy converted per unit time. Okay, part B, calculate the current. Okay, so based on calculation, you should be able to get 0.23 amperes. So how do I get this? Okay, power is actually voltage times current. Okay, so I substitute in the numbers. In this question, the power is 56 watts. The voltage is 240 volt. So I substitute in. Okay, I notice that I is something I need to find. Okay, so this 240 volt times I will give me 56. Okay, so in order to get I need to divide 240 on both sides. Okay, and therefore I'll get 0.23 amperes as the answer, and therefore shown. Okay. Part C. Down here, the picture wasn't very clear. Okay, but it doesn't matter there. Okay, basically they will ask you to state the function of the fuse. Okay, the job of the fuse is actually to prevent excessive current, okay, that is above the fuse rating from flowing into the circuit by breaking it. Okay, so what happens is that for a fuse, okay, I'll draw very quickly. Okay, if this one is a 10 ampere rating, okay, it will allow 10 amperes to flow through, anything 10 amperes and below to flow through easily. So 9 amperes down here will flow 9 amperes. Okay, no problem. Okay, but if I have 10.1 amperes, what will happen? Okay, if 10.1 amperes come in, there will be no more current coming out. Why? Because the fuse will melt and break the circuit. Okay, so that's why that's how it works. Okay, for part 2, which of these fuses is suitable? Okay, basically the answer is actually the 1 ampere fuse. So how do I know it's a 1 ampere fuse? Look at this part here. The current required is actually the 0.23 ampere. Okay, so if current is 0.23 ampere, then my fuse that I require have to be slightly larger. Okay, have to be slightly larger than what is required. Okay, but not too large. Okay, so basically it's a 1 ampere fuse that we need, and the explanation is what I mentioned just now. Okay, question 7. Down here, which mineral is the least? Okay, inside here is iron. Okay, how do I know? If you look at down here, the minerals, calcium and iron. Iron is 4%, calcium is the 15%. Okay, so that's why answer is iron. Okay, part B. How much energy will be provided by consuming the whole cup of instant porridge? Okay, so with this, right, I need to know how many servings of instant porridge do I even have in this portion. Okay, so down here, the 1 cup serving size is 1 cup. Okay, servings per container is 2. Okay, so basically I have 2 these servings. Okay, and therefore if I eat all of them, I need to take the number of calories multiplied by 2. Okay, so that's why answer is 520 calories. Okay, part C, give a reason why trans fat do not have a percentage daily value listing. Okay, so for this portion, right, it's a bit tricky because you actually don't really learn it in the lesson time. Okay, so why is this so? Okay, or why is this why is this asked? Okay, basically you must have the understanding that there are some nutrients that are actually not suitable for us. So one of the things that is not suitable for us is this thing called the trans fat. Okay, trans fat is basically processed processed fats. Okay, almost chemically produced. Okay, through is a byproduct of these are turning vegetable oil, things like vegetable oil into margarine. Okay, for example. Okay, so it's an artificial process basically, and so the recommended answer here is actually you should take as little as possible. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Basically, think of it this way: if they don't list it out, means you should not take too much. Okay, too much meaning whatever the recommended value, okay, for the these 2000 and 2500 calorie. Okay, but since it's not here, it means that it's actually so small, the amount is so small that you can't even put it down. Okay, so that's why answer should be something like this. Okay, part D, calculate the percentage daily value of the total carbohydrate. Okay, and round off to the nearest number. Okay, so you just need to take, usually we'll take the 2000 calorie. So we are assuming down here that by default we are looking at 2000 calorie diet. Okay, we are looking at 2000 calories diet. Okay, so based on that, carbohydrate, okay, if you look back at the table here, okay, the carbohydrate is here, 31 gram. Okay, and based on my 2000 calorie diet, which is this column, okay, it's actually 3000 milligram. Okay, sorry, not gram, it's actually milligram. Okay, and after you do your calculation, okay, remember to multiply by 100%. Okay, you get 10% in this case. Okay. Okay, next part. Okay, using the information that is given, suggest why this instant porridge is not a balanced meal. Okay, so go with the understanding that balanced meal means you need to have sufficient nutrients in correct proportions. Okay, and correct amounts lah. Okay, so that's what we want for balanced meal. But if you look at the table in this case, okay, this nutrition table here, okay, you notice that quite a number of things are not there. Okay, one of the main things being dietary fiber. So the focus here is actually talking about the dietary fiber. Okay, so there is no dietary fiber in the porridge, and therefore there is not a balanced meal. Okay, so you have to think about the 7 nutrients that is required by your body. Okay, carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Okay, carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Okay, dietary fiber, water. Okay, and the mineral salts and vitamins. Yeah. Okay, part F. Um, if a person eats too much of this porridge, okay, what will happen? Okay, taking into consideration that 20 or more for percentage daily value actually means that it's actually high. Okay, so if you look at the fat content and sodium content, is actually very high. Okay, 20+%. So if you think about the consequences of this, basically a person who has a diet, okay, that is high in sodium and high in fat will have a very high chance of getting high blood pressure. Okay, and you will actually lead to obesity and heart problems as well. Okay. Okay, question 8. Okay, read the questions very carefully. Okay, so same thing. Down here you have the diagram. Okay, A is actually the mouth, B is the stomach, C is the liver, D is the actually pointing towards the pancreas. Not very clear, but it's actually pointing towards the pancreas. E is actually the large intestine. F is the anus actually. Okay, so if you look at these statements here, first one, okay, absorption of excess water, vitamins, and mineral salts. Okay, the only place that does absorption of these three things is actually the large intestine. So one says E. Okay, breaking down excess proteins. Okay, this one is a bit tricky because if you say breaking down proteins, right, there are a few places. Okay, small intestine, the stomach. Okay, these are places where protein is actually broken down. Okay, so that's why you notice that my original answer was actually D or B. Okay, but in the end, look at this, and harmful substances. Okay, so the digestive system doesn't break down any harmful substances. Okay, if you look at all the roles of the organs, liver is the one that breaks down the harmful substances. Okay, it does the detoxification of the body. Okay, production of digestive juices to digest proteins. You see, digestive juices is the clue. Okay, so the only organ that produces digestive juices here is the stomach. Okay, so answer is B. Okay, and last one, the production of enzymes to digest starch. Okay, so starch will be A. Okay, so digestion will take place all the way at the mouth. Okay, where saliva is, so the saliva has the enzyme to digest starch. Okay, question 9. Okay, question 9, if you do it properly, you should be able to get this graph itself. Okay, so points will be given for the graph, for the axis, okay, and all that. Okay, so make sure you do it properly. Okay, if you do it properly, you should be able to get all your answers easily. Okay, so for the next few questions, it's actually based on this particular graph. Okay, so your answers would be to this one. Okay, if you've done it correctly, okay, yep. Okay, if you've done it correctly, B should be 100 beats per minute. C is actually telling us why. Okay, so if you look at the question, explain why the pulse rate increase as both ladies run. So this one is actually a conceptual question. Okay, so when you run, basically your muscles would require to produce more energy. When you are trying to produce more energy, more respiration has to take place. But the process of respiration requires you to have more oxygen. Okay, so oxygen plus your food, your glucose, okay, the reaction will then give you the energy that is required, carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so therefore that's the explanation. So in short, basically the heart beats faster to send more oxygen to the muscles. Okay. Question D, use the graph. Again, use your graph. So refer back to the graph. You notice that the time taken for Ellie's heart rate to return to normal is about 4 minutes. Okay. Who is better at running the marathon? Basically, the person who has a lower heartbeat throughout the whole process. Okay, because the person is fitter. Okay, so answer will be Ellie's. Okay, why? Because her heartbeat does not have to be as fast when exercising. Okay, so you have to be very careful with all this. Okay, part F. While running, Alice twisted her ankle. Okay, yeah. While running, Alice twisted her ankle and felt a pain in the ankle joint. Okay, so when you twist the ankle, basically, usually the first thing that we say is a sprain. Okay, so that's actually our answer. Okay, so what is a sprain actually? Okay, a sprain is actually the tear of the ligament or the this injury of the ligament. Okay, so it's a ligament injury basically. Okay, it cannot be a fracture. Okay, it cannot be other things. Okay, dislocation and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so question 10, identify the parts. Okay, so very quickly, these are the air sacs inside the lungs. Okay, pointing to one of them is called the bronchus. If I point to two, it's called bronchi. Okay, down here, B is pointing to this part here. This is actually the windpipe. Okay, and D here is a muscle that contracts and relaxes. So this one is the diaphragm. Okay, so very straightforward question. Okay, part B. Okay, a child's parents smoke cigarettes in the car while driving the child to school. Okay, what are the side effects of this? Basically, the side effects is the same as people who smoke regularly. Okay, so the child might get lung cancer, the child can actually suffer from bronchitis. Okay, other answers can include also poor lung development of the child. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, breathlessness, we will always suffer from breathlessness because of the bronchitis. Okay, question 11. Question 11, very straightforward questions. Okay, explain the dangers of our health in each of the following. So if you listen to too much or very loud music, what will happen? You have damage to your eardrums. Then this may lead to deafness. Okay. Second one, if you are using a computer for long periods of time, okay, so like what we have explained in class, if you use a computer for long periods of time, basically you are lacking physical activity. Okay, long periods of inactivity, lack of physical activity, you will become very unfit. Okay, other than that, when you look at the computers for long periods of time, okay, actually will damage your eyesight. Okay, other things will be your shoulder and wrist pains and all those stuff. Okay, the joint pains. Okay, due to the inactivity. Okay, part C. Okay, part C. If you don't disinfect your these work surfaces, okay, what will happen? Okay, so basically, the bacteria, okay, that is from the food might these continue to survive on the surfaces, okay, for long periods of time, and this actually might cause other people to fall sick. Okay, so there are many cases of food poisoning, okay, from all these unhygienic practices, and one of the unhygienic practices would be not to clean the kitchen work surfaces regularly. Okay. Okay, part D, why do we need to complete the course of the antibiotics? Okay, basically the answer is here. If you don't finish the course of antibiotics, the bacteria that is causing the illness might not be totally destroyed or killed off. Okay, and this actually allows the bacteria to reproduce again. Okay, and because of that, you might fall sick again. Yeah, so this is the answer, recommended answers, or some of the answers that I have for this paper. Okay, so with this I end this episode. Thank you everyone.